10年没见的朋友突然要请你帮忙，或者是不是很熟的朋友突然间找你喝咖啡，那你知道如果不回应好像不太好，但是当你仔细看看 calendar 实在忙不过来，而且你也真的不想。We've all been there, but how do we actually say no in a polite way? Hello, 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.And
I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Executive Plus Podcast episode 46. Now, last week we talked to you a bit about how to request someone's time or how to make a request of someone. This week we're going to flip it around and actually talk about how do you say no to a request or how do you decline a request politely.Now, the idea behind this is based in a book that Sherry has recently been picking up and sharing with me, and a lot of our own life experiences and stories started coming out, so we decided this would be a great topic to talk to you guys about.
Absolutely. 所以大概上个礼拜吧, I found this book in a bookstore and I thought, hey, the title looks very interesting and it's called Fuck No.And the author is Sarah Nay. 那其实这一本可能是他第3还是第4本了。他其实之前最畅销的那本书叫做 The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Fuck. Sorry to swear twice in this podcast. 但是基本上因为有很多的人，我相信你有me specifically.在不同的情况之下，我们都有当过那个常常会 say yes 的人，但是其实心中有千万个 no， 真的很不想做某些事情，或者真的很不想要帮他的这个忙啊，或者是多用我这时间。What's really interesting is that she said there are actually 5 types of people who say yes all the time. As a listener, 你们可以想一想你们可能是哪一个 type. So there are 5 types.You're the yes man, would always say yes, 永远都是 say yes. The people pleaser, 也就是很会讨好别人的人。The overachiever, 也就是他喜欢那种很成就感的人。The FOMOers, 也就是他是一个有错失恐惧症的人。Fear of missing out. 那最后一个就是 the pushover, 很容易被人家说服的人。
I think this is interesting because a lot of people just assume that the people who say yes are probably more like the yes man or the people pleaser or the pushovers. But a lot of times there's, with overachieving or with the fear of missing out, people have different motivations for not saying no, but it can equally lead to the same problems, right? Yeah.When you were talking about, people who are people pleasers or pushovers, it reminds me of when I was younger, my grandmother had a sign in the kitchen that said, stress happens when your mind and heart say no, but your mouth opens and says, sure, I'd love
to.Exactly. I think that's what happens with a lot of us when we feel like we're being forced to say yes.
Or we don't want to upset someone.
Yeah.
So one of the keys that Sarah talks about in her book is how do you decline or how do you say no, but not burn bridges? How do you maintain relationships or try not to upset someone?But not put yourself into a bad position or give yourself more pressure. And she actually has 2 guidelines for this. The first being, make it brief. A lot of times when we decline, we go into a lot of detail, a lot of reasons, and for many people, that sounds like an excuse. But if you keep it brief and you keep it clear, it gets it across to the other person very quickly. The other part is just be polite about it. And when it comes to being polite, it will actually come down to the first step of how to say no.
Again, you know, 我相信每个人都知道，在这个职场圈很小，所以你并不想要 burn the bridges， 也就是你想要留后路给自己嘛。但是这些，当你要去 decline 别人或者 say no 的时候，一个很重要就是 make it brief， 你要很简短的，但是呢，也要 make sure it's very polite.
When declining, the first step is that be polite. You should open your statement by showing empathy or sympathy. Just really showing the other person that you understand where they're coming from, you understand what they're going for, or you just feel bad for the position they're in. So simple statements like, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this.
Or you can say, do you think it would help you to talk to a professional? Or I'll be right back with some ice cream.
The last one is I can come back with some ice cream or wine or hard alcohol, whatever the person's, poison of choice is. But that, I get it. Let me go find something to make this situation better.
Exactly. 所以重点就是呢，这几个 phrases 它其实是非常 non-judgmental， 它还能够表现出你的同情心。所以当你要人家在请你帮忙，或者是 asking for a favor， 你都可以用类似像这样子的开头去回应他们。
After you've established your sympathy or empathy, you can find a way to very politely decline. Now, especially when someone's asking you for your opinion, there are several ways to decline. Back to one of Sarah Knight's rules, to be brief or be concise. It's really important that you don't go into long explanations, but in fact, you just be very clear about what you're doing. In English, this becomes important because Chinese is more of a high context language. A lot of times when people say no, they'll do it in a very roundabout or not a very direct way as a way to protect feelings. But when that happens in English, it can be a bit confusing or it can be a bit frustrating because the person doesn't know where you're coming from. So take cultural context into consideration and think about how to be direct but polite. For example, when someone asks you for an opinion, a way that you might decline would be, I don't think I'm the best person to advise you on that.
So now I think this is the best way to reply when you're, as for example, if you're a doctor, right? A doctor or lawyer.
Doctor or lawyer, consultant, anyone whose usual professional advice carries some kind of weight. Now, a lot of times, whether it's friends or families, someone who is in a position like a doctor, a lot of times they'll come and be like, this doesn't feel right or this doesn't feel okay. What do you do? Now, for a lot of people in this position, especially like a doctor, they may feel awkward because if they give the wrong diagnosis or they give the wrong advice, there's actually a potential consequence. Either the person doesn't get the help that they need, or if the diagnosis is incorrect, they may come back and blame that doctor. Same thing happens with a lawyer when they ask for legal advice, but let's say someone is a tax or a corporate tax lawyer and they come and get family court advice, they may not feel comfortable to answer that. So sometimes very simple response of, I don't think I'm the best person to advise you that, or that's not my area of expertise, so I think you should go seek advice from maybe this type of doctor or this type of lawyer.
所以就是人家找你做那种免费咨询时间的时候，你如果真的觉得你不想要现在去给对方一个 advice， 或者你可能是真的是 information 真的不够的话，你就可以说 I don't think I'm the best person to advise you on that.
Right. Now, if you see something this in your own company, it may be not your department's position or it may not be your team's position. And this is a really good way to be like, I don't think I'm the right person. You may go talk to someone else.
So the second one is, And the reply is, you can say, this decision is really up to you.
Now, this is the best way to decline when the type of question that you're getting asked may be a very life-changing or career-changing decision that you don't feel comfortable answering. So if someone's like, oh man, I really think I should break up with my girlfriend, and this is your coworker, you may not feel comfortable being like, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. 或者是有些人会说，你觉得我应该要辞职吗？ Should I quit my job?
Yeah.
That's a scary one. Yeah.
That's a scary one because, again, you don't want it to turn around and then be like, I can't believe you told me to quit my job. Now I'm living in my car and I can't pay my bills. That's not the kind of pressure that you want to take on. So showing that empathy and be like, oh, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this problem, but that's really a decision that you need to make, or this is really up to you.
Yeah. And now the last one, you can say that I can't tell you what to do here because I don't fully understand all the factors in play.
Right. This is a big one. There have been times where people have asked me for my advice on how to communicate with an international client, and they'll just send me like one screenshot of an email.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the whole context of what's going on. And I'll be like, I really need to make a decision. What do you think?
Yeah.
And this has to be my response because it's like, I don't understand what's going on. This is a longer conversation, or I don't understand the context, and I don't want to give you the incorrect advice.
所以当然有很多事情它其实是 it's been a long time, like there's a lot of back and forth already, right, with the emails. So 其实我之前也有蛮多人会也是就想 kind of like what Nick said, 他会给我一个最后的一封 email 的一个 reply, 就说 okay, how do I reply to this person? 可是这个已经是 there's a backstory, 那我们都没有办法就是一封 email 你就可以去了解这整件的事情. So again, you can just say, I can't tell you what to do here because I don't fully understand all the factors in play.
Yeah, or it's pretty common for like a startup because they hear that we talk about international communication. They'll come in and be like, I don't know how to open the market in the US. What do I do?
Yeah.
And be like, well, I don't know.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, well, that is also like, I don't know anything about what you do. Like, I haven't even heard the context, but you're sitting here going, no, I don't need to worry about my, I know how to speak in English. That's fine. Or I know how to communicate. I just need to know how to open markets. And be like, I'm going to need a lot more information than that.
所以刚刚跟 Nick 也提供给大家一些非常简单的一些开头，也就是表示你的同情，也有这3种不同的 reasons， 就是当你想要 decline 人家请你帮忙的时候，你该怎么说？那这些都是非常专业 very polite, very professional, and very brief.
We're going to look at 3 basic situations. And the first situation is if you can't. Primarily because it's a time factor. A lot of times people come and be like, I need this now. And this is something that I face all the time where companies or startups go like, we need a new presentation deck by next week. Be like, that is not possible. And this is not the time to be coming to figure out how to present to international investors. If you can't be done, usually it's a time constraint. The second situation we're going to look at is if you shouldn't. Back to we talked about doctor or legal advice where you're not the right person or it's just not something that you should answer for any type of reason. The last one that we're going to look at is something that a lot of people have a hard time with is just you don't want to. Well, how do you decline when that's just something you don't want to do?
Yeah. 所以我们现在提供给大家3种不同的 framework。就是当你不能，也就是可能现在不能，现在时间太满，你不能 you can't。第二个就是 you shouldn't， 你不行，不应该。那最后就是当你不想。所以3种稍微有一点点不一样的一种回应的方式。So we're going to share that with you guys right now.
Let's look at if you can't. If you don't have the time. There's just 4 very simple steps in order to do this. Step 1 is something we covered. Show sympathy, show empathy to their situation. Step 2 is just simply say, I can't do the favor that you've been asked to do and the brief or clear reason why you can't do that. third step is offer an alternative solution. And the fourth step is offer an alternative timeline.
所以很简单，4个步骤。第一步骤就是表达你同情嘛。第二个步骤也就很简单说 but I can't because 你的 reasons。那第三，你可能提供给他们一个另外一种方式 so alternative solution。那最后一个，你可以提供给人家一个不同的 time frame， 也就是如果对方可以的话，或许能够在下个月、下个礼拜可以进行。
All right. So let's say something that's pretty common where someone comes into your office and just goes, I need you to look at this report and give me feedback. I have to turn it in tomorrow and I just finished or I'm almost done and I need your feedback right now. But you really don't have that kind of time.
Right. So maybe I can just say, oh, I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but I can't read your report right now because I'm working on my project. But maybe you could try asking for help in another department. Or if you're flexible, I could help you tomorrow.
So again, very simple. It's a time framing thing where it's just, sorry that this is the position you're in. I can't help you because I have my own project that I have to finish. Here's another person that you could talk to, or here's another time that I could take a look at it for you.
So I would say it's probably better if you could actually say all these sentences in one go, right?
If you go piece by piece, it sounds like you're coming up with excuses constantly, and someone will argue with you about each piece. And you don't want to get into that because then you feel like you're constantly declining and making someone upset.
Right.
But offering an immediate alternative solution or an immediate alternative time frame makes it clear that you're trying to help if they can be more flexible, but you can't do it within this time. So, I'm really sorry that you're under such a time deadline, but I have my own project that I also need to finish this evening. So maybe you could try someone else in the team who understands, or if I have more time tomorrow once I've finished my own project.
All right, so let's talk about the second situation, 也就是当我们不应该 we shouldn't.
If you shouldn't, the framework looks very similar to why you can't, except for you remove the time element. It just goes, show your sympathy, explain why you're not able to offer the favor, and then just offer a solution or point them in the right direction. So let's say that someone is asking me for advice on a project, and it's not a project that I've been working on, or it's not a project that I have enough information about. This is really tricky, but I'm not able to give you good advice because I don't fully understand the factors in play. I would really suggest you go talk to someone on the team, or I suggest you go talk to someone in this department who has more information and they can give you more solid advice. Good luck.
Alright, 所以当你不应该去做这 favor 的时候呢 again, 非常简单 This is tricky, but I'm not able to, and because 解释一下为什么 Maybe you could try 给他们一个 alternative solution instead, and good luck. 非常的简单
In the case of our last framework is simply, I don't want to do that. Now, you could take the Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory approach where you just look at someone and be like, yeah, I would, but I don't want to. And this is not going to really endear them to you.
Exactly.
But the framework for this looks fairly similar to the others, except for there's a key thing. You don't particularly give a reason. You just state that this is not something you want to do. So you just say, open with sympathy. Then just say, but that's not going to work for me, or I'm not able to help you. And then maybe you can try an alternative solution.
And good luck.
And good luck.
所以非常的简单 Again, 你也是 I'm sorry, but that's not going to work for me. Maybe you could try asking someone else. Good luck. 这样就好了 非常简单 Very brief, but you're still professional, right?
Right. And this goes back to that brief side of when you over-explain or when you talk too much about it, someone thinks you're open for negotiation.
Yeah.
But you can be polite and go, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's a tricky situation, but it's just not going to work for me. Or I'm really, sorry to hear about what's going on, but I'm not in a place to help you. Maybe you can try talking to Sherry. Good luck.
All right, thank you everyone. 希望这些能够帮助你，当下一次还有人在想要请问你一些问题，或者是想你帮忙的时候，你真的不能、不应该，或者就是不想的时候，你就知道该怎么样回答。
So we hope that this helps you out, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱yourcareerplus@gmail.com。